Hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. This is Brian Westley Johnson, and I want to welcome you to another fantastic This Morning with Soulivity. I'm so glad you're here. I'm joined by some very special friend and co-host, Sheila Applegate and Candice Harper. Good morning, my lady
Good
friends.
good
Morning.
morning.
All right, before we get started, we have a special announcement that we want to make. And I know Candy did not know I was going to do this, but we all want to say happy
Ah.
birthday to ya.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I love it. I love a birthday shower.
Pouring love all over you.
So if
I
you're
love it.
online, please go and wish our beautiful co-host Candice Harper happy birthday and just let
Oh,
her know how much you love her and appreciate her, okay?
oh, thank you for that, Brian.
Of course. Of course. That's what we do.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila.
Well, listen, we have another great show with a great guest that's coming up in just a second. But before we begin, I just want to remind all of our listeners that listen, we want you to ask questions, be curious, uh, give us your comments and your thoughts about what we're talking about during this broadcast. You can post them directly into the chats on Facebook and YouTube. Or if you want to post something on the other social media platforms as well, and we can get back to you and answer those later, please do so. So, why don't we go ahead and get started? Um, we have, again, I said we have a very special guest that we have today, but let's learn a little more about her first. Visual artist and author Shannon Grissom says, I was a late bloomer. I didn't discover painting until I was 33. And once I finally realized I wanted to be a professional artist, I was hooked and driven. By 1999, I was able to leave my day job and begin to create art as a full-time business. And what an amazing ride has happened for her since then. Shortly thereafter, she produced the television series Give Your Wall Some Soul. The inspirational how-to painting show grew from an audience of one station to over 50 stations across the country and seen by over 10 million households. And it still airs today. A few years later, she published her children's book, Monkey Made of Sake. From that book came a line of licensed merchandise, a coloring book, and the popular Monkey Made of Sake's golf club covers that have been carried on tour by several LPGA pros. And today, Shannon is an award-winning artist, television producer, host, author, and songwriter with her artwork licensed and sold globally. And she didn't stop there. She just launched an online art school named Painterly. Shannon says, I have come full circle with my projects, including the latest, The Sock Monkey Oracle. It is a joyful marriage of my metaphysical and creative life. No matter what I create, it is my mission to radiate love and to help folks pollinate their own creativity. Wow. And so, with that, is my pleasure to welcome award winning artist, television producer, and author Shannon Grissom to This Morning. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Thanks you all for having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. It's our pleasure. Listen, again, everyone, as you're listening in, if you have questions about Shannon and her life as we're talking to her, please just post them in the chat and we'll get Shannon to answer those. So, Candice, do you want to ask some questions first? Since you're the birthday girl, I'll let you go first.
I appreciate that. So Shannon, like I was saying earlier, in looking in your bio, and even now, just looking at that vignette that Brian just played, the one thing that really strikes me is like the phrase multi-passionate creator keeps coming up.
Mm.
And you know, it's a phrase that I use to also describe myself, but one thing I notice in what you've accomplished is that there just seems to be such a sense of creation and completion. And that is one thing that I feel like I've not yet fully experienced, because I tend to just come up with a lot of ideas, and you know, getting them to fruition tends to be the challenge. So I want to ask you to talk about that feeling of like full circle completion of these things that you've done.
Well, the interesting thing is that I too have like tons of ideas, and I have to rein myself, like earlier earlier in the week, I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast. And then I thought, okay, Shannon, you have got to just slow down, slow down, because, so then I Googled what it takes, and I'm like, no, later, but not, you can do everything, but not all at once. And so, I find that I'll have years where I'm more focused on music and more focused on art and more focused on whatever it is. And I kept thinking, I really need to cut something out so that I can focus more on one thing, but that's not me. So I said, okay, I just need to pick a few things. And what I've found is that when right now I'm playing my guitar a lot, I'm painting. And so when I'm doing all these, it's like an engine running on all cylinders. So the trick to actually completing all these massive projects is to really just have an end goal in mind and give myself ample time to, basically I have this far off goal. Okay, what is it going to take? And so I am very structured and organized. Okay, it's going to take this. And then I plug that in to my calendar as if it were an event.
Yeah.
And that way I get it done. And right now I'm retooling. I'm taking this month almost as a sabbatical to decide where I want to go.
And what are some things that will help be the determinant? Like, like you're saying, there's a number of things that you could possibly focus on, and I get, the plugging things in on the calendar. But what are some things when you're at this point that would be the determinant of like, this is where I should go? Is it just divine inspiration? Is it, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a really good question. What my biggest criteria now for me, since I really want to create things out of a place of love, I have over the years done a lot of shoulds. I should do this. I should do that. And so now my biggest criteria is, does it make me feel good? Does it make me happy? And if I am like, woohoo, then I'm going for it. If I'm just like, oh, I should be doing this, maybe I shouldn't, because if I don't have my whole heart into it, it's not going to succeed as well, because I don't have that energy. I don't have that positivity. But when I'm fired up and happy about it, people can feel it and it resonates.
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
I love it's almost like clearing the clutter. It's like, what does
Yes.
Marie Kondo say? If it doesn't spark joy, like that's what comes up when you're saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing that on a physical level as well. I'm actually going through every room in the house and like, do I love this? Do I love this? And so if it's just an ant, it's out of here.
It's out of here. That's fantastic. That's actually really helpful. I appreciate that. Like, I'm gonna go and clean up my calendar after we're done. Only things I really, really am excited to do.
Wow. I guess, I think I was going to ask you a similar question, Shannon. It's something that I asked you during our interview together on Soulivity Weekend, which is this idea of being a multrapreneur, right? You've done so many things. You're a singer, songwriter, musician. We talked about you being a producer and an artist and an author. How did you arrive at gosh, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this, because I think sometimes people think that, okay, I've got to be just one thing, and they don't take the time to really explore all of it and then take it to its end, or I should say its beginning. And
Mm.
so what advice do you give to people around um first allowing themselves to express themselves in different ways, and then um maybe seeking the support to take that to another level?
Ah, well, I think there's sometimes I don't even know what I want to do. And one great tool that I had was Julia Cameron from The Artist Way has this jealousy map thing where you write down
Oh,
10 people that you're jealous of.
Mm.
And then you write down, okay, what is it that they have that you want?
wow.
Then you also say, okay, what steps can I take to get there, and and start acting on that. But the interesting thing about this whole exercise was that's how I started the TV show. I didn't even know I wanted to do that. But what happened was all the people on the list, Oprah, all these people that were on the list, they all were doing what they loved for a living. And they all had a TV show. And I mean, they were just connections that I didn't make until I did this exercise. So that's a really helpful one to determine where you might want to go next. And as far as doing a lot of different things, I've had a lot of people tell me, you really need to focus on one thing. And if that's your personality, that's awesome. But I have this creative ADD, and instead of fighting it, I'm like, whoo. And so to give you an example of my typical day, I get up, I do morning pages, I tune into my guides, and then I paint, and then I'm playing my guitar, and then I start the business side. So I'm structuring it so that I get in the good stuff first, and then I work on things that need to be done, but maybe aren't as much fun, because I find that if I focus on, if oh God, I got to work on my website or do whatever, more of the business end of it. If I start that first, I don't get to the creative things. So I put my creative self first, because it's like exercises for your soul. If I'm doing yoga, if I'm walking, I'm in better shape. I can handle things better. If I'm doing my creative work and I put myself and do the creative work first, then things flow better. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
It makes sense to me. I'm sitting here feeling like, wow, you just described the last 20 something years of my life.
Sheila, me too. I was like, oh my gosh. Like
Same here.
really into my soul.
Totally.
Yeah. We both left the mainstream world to follow creative passions I think around the same year, and listen to your model, which is what I call it. I call it my joy model, which I've come to really make a priority. Does it bring me joy? And I, a few years ago, really settled into that's my primary business model. But as you were talking too, I also thought about a carousel, and this came when you were asking Candy about how to focus. And I feel like things kind of carousel around, like I'm focused on something and then I forget about it, but it's not gone. It's on the other side of the carousel and it comes back at the right time. So obviously, I feel like, your spiritual guidance is key to how you're following your path. And yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. It's probably integrated in many ways as you've moved through your career, but how do you connect? You mentioned connect with your spirit guides. How do you connect with your spirit guides?
Well, I got probably a non-traditional. I have to back up. I love the carousel visual. That is so good. And so that will stick with me. That's wonderful. As far as connecting with my guides, so I took this this mediumship class last year, about this time last year, and there were all these different. There was a set way of connecting, and I found that didn't quite work for me. And so what I do is when I find that when I'm in a place of joy, when I'm just radiating joy, that's when I get the best. I tune in the best. It's like plucking that right string when you're tuning your guitar. So what I do to get there is first I started, they said, okay, think about what makes you happy. Well, you can think about things that make you happy, and then there's stuff involved with that maybe might derail me. So I started thinking about all the happy dogs I have ever known. And dogs just, they wiggle their whole body, they wag, they're just excited. And so I think about when I go on my walks every day, I count the number of happy dogs I encounter and that I greet and that kind of thing. And so to tune in, I start visualizing happy dogs. And what happens is sometimes it happens right away. Other times it takes me a while because I really need to shift my vibration. But eventually I get this biggest grin you ever saw. And then I know, okay, I'm there, I'm ready to receive. I'm not. And so that's it. Because happy dogs don't have they're unconditional. There's no, I tried it with cats and it doesn't work.
Cats have conditions.
There's stuff there, right?
Yeah, cats definitely have conditions.
Yeah.
Believe me, I understand.
I feel like dogs, and I may be off there, but I feel like dogs give unconditional love and cats teach it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
As my cat looks up at me.
I have to say, I know the people who walk in the park across the street from me by their dog. Well, I don't know the people. I know the dogs, and I know the dogs with them. So when I'm describing it to someone, I'm like, this dog, and then I can't remember what the person looks like.
I'm in whole dog communities where we only know each other's dogs.
Wow. Ladies, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do more. We'll have more with Shannon and Candice. I'll go to you for a question when we come back. Okay. Everybody will be back in 60 seconds. Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime. And welcome back to This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined today by Candice Harper and Sheila Applegate. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest, Shannon GRISSOM, award-winning artist, producer, and author. So glad you're here, Shannon.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I want to remind everybody that great guests like Shannon are coming up on our show this week. We have Helene Lerner, the founder of womenworking.com. She'll be joining us on Thursday, January 26th. So you want to go to our YouTube channel or our Facebook channel for that event, and you can set a reminder to mark your calendar. So that's going to be a good interview, y'all. Candy, I'll go to you for your next question.
So I'm curious, Shannon, about, and I know there has to be an origin story for Monkey Made of Sakis. And how it sent you on this trajectory of this animated living monkey doing its thing. Was there a toy? Was there a child? Was there What's the origin story behind that
Well,
inspiration?
that okay, so I didn't have a sock monkey growing up. What happened was my mom passed. She was only 60 when she passed, and we were cleaning out things, and Dad was moving to a new home, and I found this old sock monkey in a cedar trunk, and I thought, oh my God, this thing is cute. And my sisters and I agreed that he would come home with me, so I brought him home, and he just sat, and I took the trunk too, and he just sat in the trunk for a couple years, and then there was a competition where you had to. Well, long story about the competition, but basically I made the painting a tribute to my mother. She was a music major with an incredible sense of humor. So I painted the monkey with a kazoo, and it was just a fun painting. But when I did the painting, I knew it's like when you play basketball and you flip your wrist and you know it is going in the basket. I mean, that's how I felt. So I kept painting those. And the cool thing about doing all these paintings was that it helped me transmute my grief of losing Mom. And so, along the lines, I decided to write a children's book, and then things just morphed from that. It became a line of golf club head covers, and all along I thought it was. My first thought was the oracle cards. And, this goes back to the carousel analogy. I thought about the oracle cards, but it went so many different places, and now it's come around. And right around the time in the middle of the pandemic, I had 2 one-woman shows close. And so the work was hung. Nobody could see the work. And I thought, okay, this is the universe telling me I need to be doing something different. And what is it that I have put on the back burner, have not addressed, that I need to do? And instantly it was like, sock monkey oracle. And, and so that was it. I just got on it, and I already had the paintings. I'd done over 50 paintings. And so then the text, I'm like, oh my God, who am I to write the text for the oracle deck? And I heard in my mind's ear, it's not coming from you. So I basically sat down over a month and took notes. And of course there was editing involved, but wrote the text and pitched it beyond words. And they've just been an amazing publisher. And so the Sock Monkey Oracle was born.
Yeah. Wow. I love that, because I do feel like oftentimes those things that are going to be the most impactful do come from some sort of emotional healing or some sort of occurrence in our lives, how we alchemize what would just, generally be grief, right?
Yes.
Or how we transition through one thing to another. So I love that. I had a feeling that it would be. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
I'm starting to look for, whenever things hit the fan, I'm like, okay, what's going to grow in this fertilizer?
Yes, I love that, Steph.
That is beautiful. The making lemonade from lemons.
Yes.
Wow.
Right.
Sheila, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm really glad you shared the story about the oracle and how you had it in the back of your carousel for so many years, because I've had a deck in the back of my carousel forever. And now, over the years, my sister has returned back to her painting. So I'm really excited that someday we will have it there. And I'm gonna hone right in on your, you tuned in and you heard it's not coming from you. And then a minute or less later, you mentioned how you wrote it. And I just want to extract that out and discuss that, because what we're talking about is channeling information in. So you want to share with everyone like what that means to you and how it felt?
Well, when I started doing morning pages years ago, it turned into automatic writing. So I've been doing morning pages for 20 years. And this is, if people haven't done them before, it's from Julia Cameron, and you write 3 pages longhand, and it's a system dump. It's whatever, no editing. No, I don't even have periods. I just write for 3 pages and then I'm done. And then you throw them out. But I do extract the gems from there before I throw them out. But anyway, what happened is by doing that, I realized somewhere along the way, I was channeling. It was an automatic writing thing. So it starts off with a system dump, and then my guides come in. So when I started writing the Sock Monkey Oracle, I wondered, oh my God, do I have to do this longhand? But no, it works with the computer. And so I did have, it was a combination. And what the cool thing is this was an interactive thing where I had the structure. I knew what each card symbolized. And so I had the structure, and then I'm like, okay. And I tried working in some sort of order, and that wasn't it. It was basically a certain card would call to me that day, and that's what I was writing about. And so I had to learn to give up control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Allow has been a big thing for me, because I for years I have been pushing so hard to produce. And this year is my year of allowing. That's my word.
Nice.
I like
That's
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I think it's important because with channeling information, it really is a frequency too. So when you put it on the page is important.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
in the computer.
I got to get back to morning, because I think I read The Artist's Way at like 15 years ago, and I was doing morning pages. And you're right, they were so effective. I don't know what had me put it down, but now I'm picking it back up based on this conversation. So.
Cool.
Candy, you guys just gave me goosebumps again, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I mean, exactly, because I haven't read it in so many years. And Shannon, when you brought up your experience of it, I was like, okay, the universe is telling me I need to go back and get that and start practicing it. As all of you were talking, I kept thinking about one of the main reasons why, Shannon, I wanted you to be a guest on this morning. And that is, believe it or not, when I think of you, I think of joy.
Oh,
and especially because I'm familiar with the Sock Monkey Oracles. I've read your bio. We've talked, on and off air, and you have like given your life over to your joy in whatever way that manifests itself. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about maybe first how you developed your practice of joy, like expressing that, and then maybe a few kind of tidbits, tips for them on how they can create their own practice of joy?
Wow. Well, I have to say that I work at it. It's I believe that in my core I'm joyful, but my little ego will sidetrack me at times. So what I think my practice I have a gratitude practice, and that started about 10 years ago when my husband was in a bad accident, and somebody had my niece had challenged everybody on Facebook for the month of November to write something they were grateful for. So I started that in November 2009, and I didn't stop. And what I've found is that and that's morphed over the years. I go for a walk and I snap pictures. And so I'm actually seeking things to be grateful for that will help me focus. So I and things happen along the way, and I get poopy, but I have this practice where it reminds me to go back to the joy, because, I don't always live there. So I need to be honest about that. But I think the biggest shift is that I seek it out. Like, okay, you're not feeling good. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it. Go back to the happy dog. Because I really feel like my inner core, when I'm running on all cylinders, is very joyful. But I'll let things get to me, and so I'm like, snap out of it. And so it is something I work at.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so important. I mean, I know for me, it's always music. Like, music is like the first thing that I kind of go to. But there's other things as well. I mean, there's art and that kind of thing. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Listen, we're going to take another brief pause for the cause. And then when we come back, we'll shift out of this into maybe some of our hot topics for the week. Maybe we'd go in there and have a great discussion that empowers. Okay. So we'll be right back in just about 60 seconds, everybody.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
And welcome back, everybody, to This Morning with Soulivity. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and I'm joined by Sheila Applegate, Candice Harper, and our very special guest, award-winning artist, producer, and author, Shannon Grissom. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Before we move on, I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about, Shannon, your painterly endeavor. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I started the classes as a way to be more painterly and just really open up to your creative expression. And I think what that's doing is it's starting to morph into creativity. So I think that's the direction that the school is going to go in. More about creativity in general and lighting a fire under that. So that's where that's headed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I love you and everything that you're doing and what you're bringing to the world for us to express the truth of who we are and letting that be magical and special and full of love and joy. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thanks. It's been fun to be with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to
So
have
we're
you.
going to turn to our hot topics of the day with our co-host. And Candice, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, so it is my birthday.
Dun, 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 dun.
But that is not the hot topic, surprisingly enough. But I
Talk about candy.
I know, right? Let's just sing happy birthday for the rest of the show.
right, but it has me thinking just about aging and things like that. And of course I did a little bit of Googling, and there's a lot of information out there about what no one tells you about aging and things like that. And so of course I really wanted to sort of deep dive into not just like the idea of what no one tells you, because I feel like we're all on our sort of exploration around this, right? Like what do you know to tell? I think about younger people in my life, and like I think about my nephews and women that I mentor. Like I don't want to I always say, I call it speaking death into your life. If you tell them, oh, when you get old, you're gonna feel this way, or you're gonna have aches and pains. Like I don't believe in that kind of guiding. Like I think it's important that as we do get older, there are certain things that are it's good to, as you're growing up, whether you can take it in or not as a young person, to have a sense of. And I think the way that we can guide each other, I think, what was it Shannon said earlier about 60s are selective. The way we can guide each other is with this sort of positive, supportive, empowering kind of guides to, as you get to my point, this is what you'll experience. I wanted to, sort of pick everybody's brain. I came up with a few myself of things that you feel like are passed down things that support people in actually looking forward to this amazing privilege that we have of still being on this earth. Because like my dad always says, it's better than the alternative. Right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I came up with a few. I wanna give you guys an opportunity. If you have any that you wanna share, if you want me to go first, I'm fine, but if something is coming up already, if you wanna share anything.
That's a good one. Why don't you go first, and then I think we'll follow your lead.
Okay, so I like things in threes. I did come up with 3, but I don't wanna fire hose. So the first one that I came up with is, um, that getting older and the awareness of getting older is a time to find peace in inevitability. So often I feel like we're taught to catastrophize, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna get old, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna, lose all my hair, I'm gonna get fat, and things are gonna go bad, you're gonna have aches and pains. Like we catastrophize aging
Mhm.
rather than finding peace in what is inevitable. So, one of the things that I'm very present to is, this is the one like a just about the 1-year anniversary of my mother's passing. And, so I look up statistically and like in your 50s, if you're lucky, statistically, this is when that circle of life type stuff starts to begin,
Mhm.
right? Because your parents get to a
Mm.
point where they've reached their lifespan, they've reached their earthly completion and go on to the ancestors. And so it's that willingness to say, I'm gonna look for where the peace is in the inevitability. There's certain things about life that are inevitable. Right? Yesterday, I went to the eye doctor, and the doctor was like, "Your eyes are great. They're healthy. You're doing great. However, you do need those reading glasses."
Right, right,
You
right,
know? So
right.
it's like being willing to be, exploring of the piece and exploring of where I can make the changes an opportunity rather than be in a state of, "Oh god, I'm getting worse," rather than getting better. So that's one of the
Wow.
ones that I came up with.
Well,
That's
I just figured out one that I'm learning to practice more as I get older, and that is something again that my grandmother on my dad's side was very, very good at, and that was being grateful. And that she would
Mm,
talk about the fact that as she gets older, there's more for her to be grateful for because
yeah,
she's experiencing more and more each day. May it be a different experience, a new person,
mm,
she learns how to do something differently that she'd never thought about before. I mean, how many times do we do that? Like, wow, I never thought I could do it this way. And
yeah,
so I think as we get older, I think we forget that the amount of abundance that we experience expands. And
mm,
so I think that that is something that, again, that I'm trying to practice more. Shannon, I know you brought up a practice of gratitude. I think that goes along with it. And so that's one thing that I was thinking of. That's very important for us to remember when we're aging gracefully.
yeah, I know, I love that. And I think too, it does support that being able to stay peaceful. It's that focusing on what is working. Let me not worry about my knee. Like,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me let me
Mhm.
actually focus
Everything
on
else
what's
working.
working, right? And be grateful and appreciate that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
What about you ladies? Shannon and Sheila, what do you guys think?
One of the things that I've been thinking about is as time goes on and we get older, there's so much time behind us that I'm surprised at how little I remember when I think about the number of days that I've been alive and the number of
Mm,
hours that I've been alive. And they sort of all blend into one story arc or, certain memories that kind of hold the feeling of the others. And thinking about this, not too long ago, my youngest child, who's 24, said that they've been writing um, every day, just jot down a few points of the day.
mm,
And when you go back and look it over, which they're also doing, you just by having those couple significant points, it helps you delineate that day from the others so you can remember more days, which
Hmm.
to me is really cool.
Yeah.
I want to get that back, you know. So I'll probably really need that in my 70s or 80s or now.
Wow.
Funny. What about you, Shannon?
Well, I think that I'm in my 60s, and I am more comfortable with myself. That I'm really grateful for that than I've ever been.
Mm.
And so it comes down to, so that brings peace, like you were talking about, peace in the inevitability, and acceptance. So if there's something that doesn't make me comfortable, stop it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to me. It's up to me, right? So if if I'm doing something that's making me twitch and I'm not growing from it, I mean, then stop it. So I like the fact that as I age, I'm a lot more secure than I was every day. Every day I get more solid. How cool is that?
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I'm
I love
remembering
it.
those stories, you know, like you know, as you see quote unquote old folks, and they say what they want to say, when they want to say it,
Yeah,
how
right.
they want to say it.
Yeah.
I
You
was always
know,
like
it's
that.
What you
like
guys are pointing at is one of the other points that I had about it, was that this is the best time for full self-expression, right? Like,
oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
yeah, so there's still possibly a lot of adulthood left, you know, the universe willing. Like, we don't know how much time is left, but there's still possibly a lot of adulthood. So it's like, this is the best time to just be fully self-expressed. And, you know, I always use my favorite Dr. Dyer quote, which is, don't die with your music in you. And so, like,
Oh,
it's that,
yeah.
you know, this is the time. This is it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I
Yeah.
guess that's, you know, you don't
And we're
seek permission, right?
Yeah. It's like, just do it. Do it and be expressive about it.
Wow. This is a
Yeah.
great topic.
Thank you. And I just have one more.
Yeah,
There was
go for it.
one more point about aging that I want to share. The simple care habits make the most difference. Like, we talk about, like, meditation, hydration,
Mm,
sleep,
yeah.
you know,
Can you say
Yeah.
gratitude.
those? Can you say those again, please?
Yeah. The simple care habits make the most difference. Meditation, hydration, sleep, and Brian, you mentioned earlier, gratitude.
Oh,
Yeah.
Those simple, simple things, I feel like.
you know, I think, you
I love
know,
that.
when I talk to my son about things like this, um, you know, and you know, we talk about like sleep and that kind of thing. Sometimes they don't get it because it's like, oh, we got all this stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
And I love lounging now.
Right.
Love it. It's like, you know, I feel like a newborn babe, you know.
Yeah. As opposed to guilting yourself for
Exactly,
lounging.
like, oh my
Yes.
God, I need to be
Yeah.
doing something. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Right?
Well,
No, it's true.
again, awesome topic. I mean, I love this because I think, again, when you even think about aging, that sense of dread can kind of come over you
Mhm.
sometimes, because, you know, transitioning is a natural part of life.
Yeah.
But I think this helps all of us think about it and move through it, with some grace and some peace and some ease. I mean, a little bit more, and
Yeah.
think about it differently. So thank you for that. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank y'all for
Yeah,
Excellent.
playing.
thank you.
So we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, Sheila, I'll come to you for your hot topic. So we'll be back in about
All
60
right.
seconds. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. You can find all the Satonic products at our Go shop on Soulivity at go.soulivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care. It is all there at the Go shop. Go shop Soulivity. And we're back with our last segment of the day on Tuesday. This is Brian Johnson with This Morning with Soulivity, and I'm joined again by Sheila Applegate, Candice Harper, and our very special guest, Shannon GRISSOM. And we're going to go to our next hot topic, and I'll go to you, Sheila, for that.
All right. Well, I'm going to be sequential here because my topic has to do with death. So I'm going to start with a little story. When my mom was far into her dementia, she was upset one day because she had written out what she wanted for her funeral and she couldn't find it anywhere. And so, blunt way that I am, I said, well, that's okay, Mom, because you're going to be dead. You don't care. The funeral's for us. And she just kind of smiled and it kind of took some pressure off her. And she unfortunately was able to, guide me from the other side and tell me which song she had been thinking of once that happened. But through that process, my kids started saying, no, Mom, we do want you to tell us. We think it would be easier if you told us what you want us to do when you die. And so I was like, okay, well, if they're asking for it, but I keep saying it's still up to you. Like, this is my whatever you want. But now is something I was hoping would be created by the time I died. And they now have a way to compost our bodies. Because I wanted the most environmentally friendly, and I was looking at all of them. At one point, my kids were planning on putting me on a raft and shooting a fire arrow, but I think the permits would be difficult.
Like a Viking? That sounds like
I know, right? I love that.
Yeah, Viking. We're going to do it on the lake that I grew up on, but don't tell anyone in case they do it.
Wow.
So anyway, this process is new, but I think there's going to be more and more that are environmental because we're natural. We return to the earth, but even, cremating someone is not really that environmentally sound. So in this, they put the body in a metal box and they put microbes in it and like wheat and oats and different vegetation. And it takes I think it said 4 to 6 weeks and you come out with compost that you can then maybe plant a tree with or anything. So my question is, what do you guys think about that? Whenever we bring something, it always kind of, triggers our brain. And then also, what do you guys want do you have any idea what you want?
Wow. That's a big question, Sheila.
I can start. I'll start. I'll start here. Well, first, I will always say that I never understood the whole body in the coffin thing. Even at a young age, I'm like, don't we decompose anyway? I'm like, so we're going to be decomposing in a box. And so
with chemicals.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know any member of my immediate family that wants to do that, including myself. And, we had always talked about cremation, right? And then spreading our ashes somewhere. But I love this idea of, the circle of life. I mean, I'm thinking of Avatar, Pandora, where the spirit and the soul of the body connects with, Awa and goes back to Awa and then is part of this beautiful spiritual ecosystem. So I love that. Yeah, I would love to find out more information about that, Sheila. So please. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely do something like that because, I think the memorial should be something like that New Orleans style, like joyful, you know, party and, you know,
Brass band.
yeah, exactly. You know, people dancing and having a good time and celebrating your life. And then as a part of that, you know, you're returning to source. And so that's just me. Anybody else? Shannon? Candice?
I mean, I'm with you, Brian, like with this, as far as the celebration of life, like that's what I want my people to do for sure is, you know, really celebrate my existence and all of that. And my hope is that whatever I'm doing on the earth right now will inspire that.
All right.
I'll dance at your funeral.
I know, right?
Thank you, Sheila.
Me too.
But and inspire it not in a yay she's dead kind of way, but in a but I have to say, like, if I'm honest, Sheila, and I love that you broached this topic mainly because, you know, we're always looking for those places where we haven't necessarily done all of our healing. And the first thing that came up for me, I got like little butterflies in my stomach thinking about the microbiome and becoming compost. And I realized that there is still a part of me that is just so very attached to this human suit that initially when you started talking about it, I was like, but what if I know it's happening? Like, I started thinking, what if I feel the bugs eating me? Like, I think it's an amazing idea. Like, scientifically, I think it's awesome. And I love the, you know, just the eco-consciousness of it. And I'm hoping that as I continue to evolve, you know, universe willing, that I live a much more time, that as I continue to evolve, that I get to a point that at my passing, that I can say that with full peace, that I can say, yes, go ahead and compost me. Even me. And the worst of all is bury, like Brian was saying, I definitely don't want to be in a box. Well, I'm worried about what's going to be
buried forever because you're forbidden.
Right? Exactly. But it's an interesting, like, just talking about it has me wanting to be sort of on a journey of like, you know, where am I still just so attached to this human suit, where it's like I believe that I'm going to be in it forever, knowing consciously that I'm not, right?
Yeah, I love that awareness. That's awesome.
Oh man, Shannon, what about you?
Well, my first thought was I twitched too about the bugs, and then my thought was, well, we are one with the bugs. I mean, it was we are all one, so it's not like a separate thing. And then I started getting creative, and I'm like, ooh, we could with the compost, we could make this beautiful garden. And so then I started painting with flowers and trees and things.
Oh, nice.
How cool is that to live on in a garden?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? That's what I was
I want to be gladiolas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That'd be beautiful.
Another great topic.
Yeah.
I love this because these are the things that we don't really talk about.
Yeah.
Hang on. Our co-host Shannon, Dr. Shannon. Hi all. I can't relate yet with my 14-year-old. Yes, Dr. Chanel. We can understand why. But these are the subjects that we don't really talk about with each other because I wish that we would. And so I'm so grateful that we talk about things like aging and death, and that we can laugh about it, and we can have a real peaceful and funny and humorous kind of discussion about it. That's deeper than the traditional, the cross on the chest and that kind of thing. The finality that he's gone. That's it. Brian ain't coming back. And so thank you both for this. Why don't we? I just want to remind everybody that you can learn more about Shannon and Shannon Grissom Sock Monkey Oracle cards on her website. It is posted in our chat and listed here on our screen. So go check her out. I mean, Shannon, you've done so many amazing things. Your website is chock full of different experiences that people can take part of. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Also, Sheila, I know you've got your soul connection sessions that are coming up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Soul connection sessions are available anytime, and we just put the calendar up that you can schedule your session there. And what I do connection session is I work one-on-one with you, and I can open up to spirit guides for you or loved ones who've crossed over. But I'm also working with you to help you deepen your connection. So a traditional way of a reading, or we can do a conscious meditation where you come along with me, and through a series of techniques, I help to deepen your relationship with your spirit guides and your loved ones. And by using the link that's here, rather than going directly to my website, you will get a discount of $44.
Ooh, perfect. Thank you. And Candy, I know you've got some great things happening too.
So yeah, I have my curriculum, Love Life Skills for Leaders, which I teach in a one-on-one intensive or in my group, the Love Life Leaders Club. And you know that I help professional BIPOC women create a love life that loves us back. And I do that by coaching and hypnotherapy to heal the past, love ourselves unconditionally, start our love lives over from a clean slate. And if you're listening and you're hearing this, you're a Soulivity audience member, your promo code is Soulivity50, and you get 50% off of either joining the club, which is a community of women who are going through the curriculum for a year, or working with me one-on-one. You get 50% off with the promo code Soulivity50.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you are so good. I mean, I love this stuff. It's what I live for.
Right.
Just want to remind everybody too that coming up on Thursday, Helene Lerner, founder of womenworking.com, which is huge. I think they have something like 16 or 17 million followers on Facebook. It's a women's empowerment organization. Author Helene Lerner will be here on Thursday, January 26th at 8 a.m. So you want to be here for that. Mark your calendars. As well as coming up on Wednesday, another Consciously Awesome Living with Sheila Applegate. And Sheila, I think you're going to be talking about financial freedom, which is an important topic.
Abundance.
Yeah. And I also want to remind everybody of our very special partnership with MoonPod, the revolution of beanbag chairs. They are so super comfortable, y'all. I opened up the ones that they sent, and like this woman right here, that was me. I was knocked out. And there's a special discount. There's a special discount if you go to our website, soulivity.com /this-morning, and click the link. You'll get a 10% discount in addition to the seasonal discounts that are available. So go check that out. Guys, another wonderful this morning. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you and your energy and your light and your love. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon,
Right.
and happy birthday, Candice.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday to you.
Yeah, I love it. It's great meeting you, Shannon, too.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shannon, would you come back and spread some more joy with us?
Oh, yeah.
Yay! All right.
Yay.
This is fantastic. So, listen, everybody. So, on behalf of all of us here, I want to say thanks for joining us for another great episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, or listen to our rebroadcast, which is coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern for all of you on the West Coast. Until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create a life full of high quality living today. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.